The room fell silent as Admiral Grant entered. His face was grim, the lines around his eyes deeper than usual. The 6 officers seated at the table stood at attention, but he waved them back to their seats with a tired hand. At ease, we don't have time for formalities. Commander James Walker watched as the Admiral activated the holographic display in the center of the conference table. A red planet appeared, surrounded by flashing warning symbols. "This is Epsilon 9, said Admiral Grant. "As of 600 hours this morning, it's under attack by a Dominion battle fleet." Murmurs filled the room. Walker leaned forward. Epsilon 9 was one of the most important mining colonies in Allied space, providing nearly 30% of the rare minerals needed for starship construction. "How many ships?" asked Walker. 15 capital ships, with at least 30 support vessels, replied the Admiral. The hologram shifted to show the Dominion fleet, a mass of sharp, angular vessels that looked like predatory creatures circling their prey. Captain Lisa Torres, the weapons specialist, shook her head. "The colony's defenses can't hold against that kind of firepower. How long until reinforcements arrive?" Admiral Grant's expression darkened further. 3 weeks at best. Every battle-ready ship we have is committed to the Orion front or defending our core systems. Walker felt his stomach sink. 3 weeks was a death sentence for Epsilon 9. "There's more," continued the Admiral. "Intelligence suggests they're testing a new weapon, something that can destabilize a planet's core." The room grew colder. If the Dominion could perfect such a weapon, no world would be safe. "So we're just going to let them die?" Lieutenant Mike Reeves asked, his voice tight with anger. Admiral Grant looked at each officer in turn, then pressed a button on his wrist device. The room's security systems activated, a soft hum indicating that no communication could enter or leave. "What I'm about to tell you doesn't leave this room," he said quietly. "There might be one option left." The hologram changed again, showing empty space. "Sir," Walker prompted when the Admiral didn't continue. "Have any of you heard rumors about a ship called the Phantom?" Walker exchanged glances with the others. Everyone in the military had heard those stories. An experimental warship from the early days of the First Contact War, supposedly with capabilities far beyond anything currently in service. Most considered it propaganda, a morale booster invented when humanity was facing extinction. "The ghost ship," Captain Torres laughed nervously. "That's just a story they tell at the academy to impress cadets." Admiral Grant didn't smile. 25 years ago, I was a young lieutenant on a scout ship patrolling the border. We detected unusual readings from an asteroid field and investigated. What we found was impossible. A warship unlike anything I've ever seen, before or since. The room was completely silent now. I was sworn to secrecy, along with my entire crew. The ship was part of a black project, developed when we thought we might lose the war. But after the peace treaty was signed, our leaders feared that its existence would trigger an arms race that could destroy the fragile peace, so they hid it away. "If such a ship exists," Walker asked carefully, "why hasn't it been used in any of our recent conflicts?" The Admiral sighed. "Politics. Fear. The ship has weapon systems that some consider unethical, and it requires special training to operate. After the war, the decision was made to keep it as a last resort." He looked at them all again. "I believe we've reached that point." Walker felt a chill run down his spine. If the Admiral was willing to reveal a classified secret of this magnitude, the situation must be truly desperate. "What exactly are you asking us to do, sir?" he asked. "The ship needs a crew, small but elite, people who can think on their feet and who I trust completely." The Admiral's eyes fixed on Walker. "I want you to lead the mission, Commander." Walker blinked in surprise. "Me, sir? You've shown exceptional judgment in crisis situations, and you know the Epsilon sector better than anyone here." Walker felt the weight of 5 other gazes on him. The lives of thousands of colonists hung in the balance. If this ship is real, where is it now?" he asked. Admiral Grant handed him a data chip. These coordinates will lead you to a man named Thomas Reed, former captain, now the caretaker of the facility. He's the only one who knows how to wake the Phantom. Walker took the chip, turning it over in his fingers. And if Reed refuses to help, then God help us all, the Admiral said simply. 48 hours later, Walker stood on the bridge of the scout ship Hermes, staring at the emptiness of space before him. According to the navigation system, they had reached the coordinates provided by Admiral Grant. But there was nothing here, just the vast blackness of deep space, dotted with distant stars. Scan again, he ordered Lieutenant Reeves at the sensor station. Sir, I've run 3 full spectrum scans. There's nothing here except normal background radiation. Walker frowned. Had the Admiral sent them on a wild goose chase? Or worse, had someone tampered with the coordinates? Wait, called Ensign Taylor from the science station. I'm picking up a faint energy signature. It's unusual. What kind of unusual? Walker moved to look over her shoulder. It doesn't match any known propulsion or weapons system. Almost like a heartbeat. Walker studied the readings. They were coming from a point about 3,000 kilometers away. Empty space according to their visual sensors. Take us closer, Helm. Maintain stealth protocols. As they approached, Walker felt a growing sense of unease. If the Phantom was real, and if it had remained hidden for over 2 decades, what kind of security measures protected it? Energy signature is getting stronger, sir, reported Taylor. And I'm detecting. Wait, that can't be right. What is it? Mass readings consistent with an asteroid field. But there's nothing there. Walker stared harder at the view screen. Empty space. And yet, launch a probe, he ordered. Low-yield sensor package only. The small probe shot forward. For a few seconds, it transmitted normal readings. Then, abruptly, it vanished from their sensors. Probe is gone, sir, Reeves exclaimed. Gone how? Destroyed. No debris, no energy spike. It just disappeared. Walker made a decision. Take us to the probe's last known position. Full stop when we reach it. The Hermes moved forward cautiously. As they approached the spot where the probe had vanished, the view screen flickered. For just a moment, Walker thought he saw something, a massive shape in the darkness. Sir, Taylor's voice was filled with awe. The readings just change. I'm detecting a cloaking field failure, and behind it, the view screen flickered again, and then the emptiness was gone. In its place floated an enormous asteroid field, and nestled within it, a structure that made Walker's breath catch in his throat. It was a shipyard. Built into and around the largest asteroid was a facility that must have stretched for kilometers, and docked within its center, barely visible, was the unmistakable shape of a warship. My God, whispered Reeves. It's real. Walker nodded slowly, his eyes fixed on the distant silhouette of the vessel. The Phantom, he said quietly. Looks like we found our myth. A communication alert sounded, making them all jump. A gruff voice came through the speakers. Unidentified vessel, you have entered restricted space. Identify yourself immediately or be destroyed. Walker took a deep breath and stepped forward. This is Commander James Walker of the Allied Systems Defense Force. We're here to see Captain Reed. Admiral Grant sent us. A long pause followed. State your business, the voice finally replied, slightly less hostile. Walker looked at the image of the shipyard and the mysterious vessel hidden within. Epsilon 9 is under attack, he said simply. We need the Phantom. The docking clamps secured the Hermes to the hidden station with a dull thud. Walker stood at the airlock with Lieutenant Reeves and Ensign Taylor, each wearing a standard sidearm. He had ordered the rest of the small crew to remain on board. Remember, Walker said quietly, we're guests here. Follow my lead. The airlock hissed open to reveal a tall, broad-shouldered man with silver hair and a neatly trimmed beard. His weathered face suggested he was in his late 60s, but his posture remained military straight. The jumpsuit he wore bore no insignia, but Walker noticed the slight outline where patches had once been. "Captain Reed?" Walker asked, extending his hand. The man didn't take it. "That's a name I haven't used in a long time. Just Reed now." His eyes scanned the three officers. "You said Grant sent you. Prove it." Walker removed the data chip from his pocket and handed it over. Reed slotted it into a small device on his wrist. After a moment, his expression softened slightly. "Authentication confirmed. Follow me." Reed led them through narrow corridors carved directly into the asteroid. The lighting was dim, powered by emergency systems only. The air smelled stale, recycled for years. "How long have you been here?" Taylor asked, breaking the uncomfortable silence. 23 years, 2 months, 14 days, Reed answered without turning. "I get supply drops twice a year. No visitors until now." Walker tried to imagine it. Over 2 decades alone in this rock, guarding a secret most believed was just a story. What kind of man could endure such isolation? They entered a large control room filled with screens and equipment that looked at least a generation behind current military technology. Reed gestured to a set of chairs. "Sit. Tell me why Grant broke protocol after all these years." Walker explained the situation at Epsilon 9, described the Dominion fleet, and the planet-killer weapon they were testing. Reed listened without interruption, his face growing grimmer with each detail. When Walker finished, Reed stood and walked to one of the screens. He tapped a series of commands, and the largest screen lit up to show what looked like a maintenance schedule. "The Phantom has been in preservation mode for over 20 years, he said. "Waking her up isn't like flipping a switch. Systems need to be brought online in sequence. And even if we manage that, she needs a crew." "My team is small but capable," Walker said. Reed laughed without humor. "It takes 50 people minimum to run basic operations. The optimal crew is 120. Walker felt his hopes sinking. "We have 6. Reed turned back to them, his eyes hard. "Then we'd better get to work. I'll need to see your skill assessments. If we're going to do this with a skeleton crew, every one of you will need to handle multiple stations." He tapped another command, and a new image appeared on the screen. A 3-dimensional blueprint of a massive warship unlike anything Walker had ever seen. Its design was sleek yet aggressive, with weapon systems that seemed to cover every possible angle of approach. "This is really her?" Reeves asked, his voice filled with awe. "The Phantom." Reed nodded. "Official designation: ASV-01 Nemesis. First and only ship of her class." "Why the Phantom?" Taylor asked. "You'll see," Reed said cryptically. He turned to Walker. "Come with me, Commander. I want to show you something." Reed led Walker deeper into the station, leaving Reeves and Taylor to study the blueprints. They passed through several security checkpoints, each requiring Reed's biometric authorization. Finally, they reached a massive viewing gallery. Reed pressed a button, and shutters slid open to reveal an enormous hangar bay bathed in soft blue light. And there she was. The Phantom hung suspended in the center of the bay, held by massive support beams. She was larger than Walker had imagined, at least twice the size of a standard Allied battlecruiser. Her hull was midnight black, with no visible markings or lights. The design was unlike any ship Walker had seen. No sharp angles like Dominion vessels, nor the utilitarian blocks of Allied ships. Instead, the Phantom's hull flowed in smooth predatory lines, like a shark adapted for the void of space. "My God," Walker whispered. "Not God," Reed corrected. "Human ingenuity driven by desperate times." Walker turned to Reed. "What makes her so special? Why hide away a single ship, no matter how advanced?" Reed's expression darkened. "Walk with me." They moved along the viewing gallery, getting different angles of the massive vessel. "The Phantom was built when we thought we might lose the war," Reed explained. "She has technologies that were experimental, dangerous, and some that were considered morally questionable." "Like what?" Reed stopped at a control panel and brought up a schematic of the ship's weapons systems. Quantum displacement torpedoes. They don't just damage a target, they partially shift it out of our dimension. The results are messy and permanent. Walker felt a chill. That sounds like a violation of the Geneva Conventions. It is, which is why after the peace treaty, the Allied leadership decided the Phantom was too provocative to keep in service. But they also realized she was too valuable to destroy. Reed continued walking, pointing out other features of the ship. Adaptive hull material that can absorb energy weapons, multi-phase shields that operate on rotating frequencies, and her most classified feature, the reason for her name. He touched another control, and a new schematic appeared, showing what looked like a drive system Walker didn't recognize. Quantum displacement drive. Walker read from the display. Reed nodded. The same technology as the torpedoes, but applied to the entire ship. It allows the Phantom to appear to teleport short distances. In combat, it makes her nearly impossible to hit. She seems to disappear and reappear at will. That's impossible, Walker said automatically. Reed smiled thinly. That's what the Dominion thought too, the first time they encountered her. She destroyed 3 of their dreadnoughts in less than 5 minutes. If she's so effective, why wasn't she used more during the war? Each jump damages the fabric of space-time. Use it too much, and you risk creating tears that could spread. That's another reason she was hidden away. Some believed she was too dangerous to exist. They walked back toward the main control room in silence, Walker trying to process everything he'd seen and heard. "Will you help us?" he finally asked. Reed stopped walking. "I've spent over 20 years guarding this secret, Commander. Watching from this tomb while conflicts flared across the galaxy, following orders to keep the Phantom hidden, no matter what." His eyes met Walker's. "But I didn't sign up to watch colonies get destroyed by planet killers. If Grant thinks the situation is desperate enough to wake her, then who am I to argue?" He extended his hand. "Let's go wake up the old girl." Walker took Reed's hand, feeling the strong grip of the older man. "I should warn you," Reed added as they shook hands, "the Phantom has her own opinions about things." "What do you mean?" Reed's smile was mysterious. "She has the most advanced AI ever created. We call her Athena. And she might be the most dangerous part of the ship." Before Walker could ask more questions, alarms began blaring throughout the station. Reed rushed to a nearby terminal. "What is it?" Walker demanded. Reed's face was grim as he studied the display. "Sensors have detected energy signatures entering the system. Ships coming in fast. Dominion. Unknown. But they're heading straight for us." Reed looked up, his eyes hard. "Looks like our secret hiding place isn't so secret anymore." "How many?" Walker asked, watching Reed's fingers fly across the control panel. 3 ships. Small, fast. Scout class. Reed brought up the sensor readings on the main screen. "They're maintaining formation at the edge of the asteroid field. Scanning patterns suggest they're looking for something." Walker frowned. "Could be coincidence." "I don't believe in coincidence," Reed replied. "Not after 23 years without visitors, and then 2 arrivals in one day." Lieutenant Reeves and Ensign Taylor rushed into the room, having heard the alarms. "What's happening?" Reeves asked. Walker quickly explained the situation. "Options?" he asked Reed. The older man studied the screen. "The station's cloaking field is still active, but it's old technology. A focused scan might detect us." He turned to face the group. "I say we move up our timetable. Wake the Phantom now." "Can we do that with unknown ships in the area?" Walker asked. "It's risky," Reed admitted. "Powering up the ship will create energy spikes that might be detected. But sitting here waiting for them to find us isn't a better option." Walker nodded. "Do it." Reed activated the station's communication system. "Attention all personnel. This is Reed. Proceed to emergency stations. Initiate Protocol Lazarus. This is not a drill." Walker raised an eyebrow. All personnel. I thought you were alone here. Reed's mouth twitched in what might have been a smile. Force of habit, and it helps Athena understand the situation is serious. He gestured to Walker. Follow me. The rest of you, stay here and monitor those ships. Reed led Walker through a series of corridors to a heavily secured door. After multiple biometric scans, the door slid open to reveal a small, dimly lit chamber containing a single chair surrounded by control panels. This is the primary interface room, Reed explained. The only place where Athena can be awakened manually. He sat in the chair, and the panels lit up around him. Holographic displays appeared in the air, showing status reports on various ship systems. Most were outlined in red, indicating they were offline. Initiating startup sequence, Reed said, both to Walker and apparently to the ship itself. His fingers danced across the controls. Main power cores activating. Deep within the station, Walker heard a low hum begin, growing steadily in intensity. Is that normal? He asked. Reed nodded, not taking his eyes off the displays. The Phantom has 3 quantum fusion reactors. They've been in standby mode for decades. Waking them takes enormous energy. The lights in the room flickered, then stabilized at a higher brightness. Station power diverted to ship systems, Reed continued, initiating AI core startup. One of the displays changed, showing a progress bar slowly filling. How long will this take? Walker asked, thinking of the scout ships hovering at the edge of the asteroid field. Under normal circumstances, about 6 hours, Reed replied. But we don't have that luxury. He pressed a series of commands. I'm bypassing safety protocols. It's risky, but it should cut the time to under 30 minutes. What kind of risks? Reed's expression was grim. System failures, potential core instability. And Athena might be disoriented. Before Walker could ask what he meant by that, a female voice filled the room, soft and precise. Primary AI matrix online. Identity confirmed. Athena Military Intelligence System version 9.73. Running system diagnostics. Reed leaned forward. Athena, this is Captain Thomas Reed. Authentication code Sierra. Echo Victor Echo November. A pause. Then, voice pattern matched. Hello, Captain Reed. It has been 8,412 days since our last interaction. May I inquire as to the nature of this reactivation? Emergency Protocol Lazarus, Reed replied. We need the Phantom operational as soon as possible. Understood. Detecting presence of unknown personnel. Please identify. Reed nodded to Walker, who stepped forward. Commander James Walker, Allied Systems Defense Force. Voice pattern recorded. Welcome aboard, Commander Walker. I detect elevated stress indicators in your vocal patterns. Is there immediate danger? Walker glanced at Reed, who nodded encouragingly. Potentially, Walker replied. There are unidentified vessels nearby that may detect us. Additionally, we have an urgent mission to Epsilon 9, which is under Dominion attack. The AI was silent for a moment. Analyzing. Dominion forces were signatories to the Orion Peace Treaty. Has hostility resumed? Yes, Reed said simply. We're at war again, Athena. Another pause. I see. This explains the emergency reactivation. I will expedite system restoration. Estimated time to minimum operational status, 22 minutes. Reed stood. Let's get back to the control room. We need to prepare your crew to board. As they walked back, Walker's mind was racing. The AI seems very advanced. Reed's expression was unreadable. Athena is unique. She was designed to learn and adapt in ways most military AIs never could. By the end of the war, some people were more afraid of her than of the Dominion. Is she dangerous? All weapons are dangerous, Commander, but Athena has never harmed ally personnel. Reed paused. That said, she does have her own perspective on things. Don't be surprised if she questions orders or offers alternatives you hadn't considered. When they returned to the control room, Reeves looked up with concern. The scout ships have changed position, he reported. They're moving deeper into the asteroid field, running active scans. Reed checked the displays. They're searching a pattern. They'll find us within the hour at that rate. The Phantom needs 22 minutes to reach minimum operational status, Walker said. Can we hold them off that long? Reed considered. The station has limited defensive capabilities. Enough to confuse them, maybe, but not enough to fight them off if they're Dominion military. Let's hope it doesn't come to that, Walker said. He turned to his team. Reeves, Taylor, get back to the Herms. Bring the rest of the crew and all essential supplies. We're boarding the Phantom as soon as she's ready. As his officers hurried away, Walker studied the approaching scout ships on the display. How did they find this place? He wondered aloud. Reed's face darkened. That's what worries me. Only 3 people knew the exact coordinates of this station. Me, Admiral Grant, and the former Allied Supreme Commander. You think we have a security breach. I think 23 years is a long time for a secret to stay buried. Reed checked another display. Athena reports 15 minutes to minimum operational status. Main systems are coming online. Walker felt a tingle of anticipation. Soon he would be aboard the legendary ship, bringing a myth to life. The station shuddered suddenly, and alarms blared. What was that? Walker demanded. Reed's fingers flew across the controls. Energy weapon impact on the outer asteroid layer. They found us. He looked up, his eyes hard. And they're definitely not friendly. Another impact rocked the station, harder this time. Defensive systems online, Reed announced, activating a series of controls. Deploying countermeasures. On the screen, small objects launched from concealed ports in the asteroid field, decoys and electronic warfare packages designed to confuse enemy sensors. Will that hold them? Walker asked. Not for long. Reed activated the communication system. Athena. Status update. Main power at 64%. Weapons systems at 38%. Propulsion systems at 51%. Hull integrity at 95%. Estimated time to minimum safe operational status, 8 minutes, 43 seconds. Another impact, closer this time. Warning lights flashed across the control panel. We don't have 8 minutes, Reed said grimly. Athena, initiate emergency launch protocol. We're leaving now. Warning, systems not at recommended operational levels. Launch at current status involves significant risk. Noted, Reed replied. Do it anyway. Acknowledged. Disengaging docking clamps. Powering emergency thrusters. Please proceed to command deck for manual control. Reed grabbed Walker's arm. Time to go. Your crew better be aboard already. As they raced through the corridors toward the Phantom's docking port, the station shook continuously. Through viewport windows, Walker caught glimpses of weapon impacts on the asteroid's surface, sending rock fragments spinning away into space. They're really determined to destroy this place, he said between breaths. Reed's expression was grim. They're not here to destroy the station, Commander. He pointed ahead to where the sleek, dark form of the Phantom waited. They're here for her. General Drac stood on the bridge of the Dominion flagship Conqueror, watching with satisfaction as his fleet surrounded the mining colony of Epsilon 9. The planet's meager defenses had already been neutralized. Now his ships moved into position to test the new planet killer weapon. Status report, he demanded. His second-in-command, Commander Vex, stepped forward. All systems ready, General. The core destabilizer is charged to 80% capacity. We can begin the test in 15 minutes. Drac nodded, his scaled skin reflecting the red emergency lights that bathed the bridge. Excellent. Any word from our scout ships? Nothing yet, sir. They're still investigating the anomalous readings in Sector 12. Drac frowned. Intelligence reports had suggested that the humans might have a secret weapon hidden away. a relic from the last war. He had dismissed it as propaganda until their long-range sensors detected unusual energy patterns in an otherwise empty region of space. "Keep monitoring," he ordered. "I want to know immediately if they find anything." A communication officer suddenly straightened at his station. "General, emergency transmission from Scout Group Alpha." "Put it through," Drac commanded. The main screen flickered to life, showing the face of a scout ship captain. The image was distorted by static, and alarms could be heard blaring in the background. "Found it, sir. The human weapon is real. We've located The captain looked over his shoulder in alarm. "Something's happening. The station is. The ship is powering up. We're under attack. Request immediate." The transmission cut off abruptly. "Reconnect," Drac demanded. "Can't, sir," the communications officer replied. "Their signal is gone." Vex stepped closer to Drac. "Your orders, General." Drac considered his options. If the humans had indeed been hiding a powerful weapon, and if his scouts had found it, and apparently awakened it, then his current mission might be in jeopardy. Proceed with the test, he decided, but put the fleet on high alert. Whatever the scouts found, it's at least 12 hours away at maximum speed. "Yes, General." Drac returned his attention to the planet below. Soon, he would demonstrate the might of the new Dominion weapon, and his name would be recorded in the annals of their military history. Meanwhile, deep in the asteroid field of Sector 12, the Phantom was coming to life. Walker and Reed raced onto the command bridge, a circular room dominated by a central holographic display. The rest of Walker's small crew was already there, looking around in awe at the advanced technology surrounding them. "Everyone to stations," Reed ordered, taking the captain's chair. "Athena. Status report." The AI's calm voice filled the bridge. "Main power at 72%. Weapons at 53%. Shields at 61%. Enemy vessels continuing to attack the station." Walker took the first officer's position beside Reed. "Can we fight?" "Not effectively," Reed replied. "But we don't need to." He activated the ship's controls. "Athena, bring the quantum displacement drive online." Warning: QDD is at only 47% power. A jump at this level may result in system damage. Noted: prepare for short-range jump to coordinates Alpha 3, just outside the asteroid field. Walker looked at Reed in confusion. "We're running." Reed shook his head. "Strategic retreat. We need time to get systems fully online before we can fight effectively." He glanced at Walker. "And we have a colony to save, remember." The ship shuddered as the docking clamps released. Through the view screen, Walker could see the attacking scout ships firing repeatedly at the station, oblivious to the fact that their real target was slipping away. "Displacement drive charged to minimum capacity," Athena announced. "Execute jump," Reed commanded. The lights on the bridge dimmed momentarily. Walker felt a strange sensation, as if his body was being gently pulled in all directions at once. Then, with a subtle shift that was felt more than heard, the view screen changed. The asteroid field was now distant, visible only as a cluster of faint points against the blackness of space. "Jump successful," Athena reported. "Minor power fluctuations in secondary systems. No critical damage." Reed turned to Walker with a small smile. "That's why they call her the Phantom." "Incredible," Walker breathed. He had never experienced anything like it. No acceleration, no sense of movement, just displacement. "Enemy vessels have detected our departure," Athena reported. "They are pursuing, but their conventional drives cannot match our speed." Reed nodded in satisfaction. "Set course for Epsilon 9, maximum conventional speed. We'll save the QDD for when we arrive." As the Phantom accelerated smoothly to faster-than-light speed, Reed began assigning Walker's crew to different stations, with Athena providing quick tutorials on the ship's unique systems. "The ship was designed to be operated by a full crew," Reed explained, "but Athena can handle many functions automatically. Still, we'll need everyone to multitask." Walker watched as his people adapted to their new roles. Reeves took weapons control, while Taylor monitored the engineering systems. The other 3 crew members from the Herms were assigned to communications, sensors, and damage control respectively. "How long until we reach Epsilon 9? Walker asked. "At current speed, approximately 9 hours, Athena responded. Reed frowned. "Too long. The colony might not have that much time." He considered for a moment. "Athena, if we divert more power to the engines, can we reduce that time?" "Affirmative. Redirecting power from non-essential systems could reduce travel time to 6 hours, 14 minutes. "Do it," Reed ordered. As the ship accelerated further, Reed turned to Walker. "We should use this time to familiarize everyone with combat protocols. The Phantom fights unlike any other ship you've served on." Over the next few hours, Reed and Athena conducted a crash course in the Phantom's capabilities. Walker learned about the quantum torpedoes that could phase partially through enemy shields, the adaptive hull material that could absorb energy weapons, and the multi-phase shields that operated on rotating frequencies to prevent enemies from finding vulnerabilities. But most impressive was the quantum displacement drive, the heart of the Phantom's combat strategy. "In battle," Reed explained, "we can make short jumps to reposition instantly, appear behind an enemy, fire, then jump away before they can respond. It's why no Dominion ship ever managed to land a significant hit on us during the war." "Approaching Epsilon 9 system," Athena announced eventually. "Long-range sensors detect 15 Dominion capital ships in orbit around the planet. Energy readings suggest they are preparing to fire a large-scale weapon." Reed's expression darkened. "The planet killer. We're cutting it close." He looked at Walker. "Ready for this?" Walker nodded, feeling a mixture of anxiety and determination. "Ready." Reed addressed the entire bridge. "Battle stations, everyone. Athena, charge the QDD to full capacity. We're going to make an entrance they won't forget." The Phantom dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Epsilon 9 system. On the view screen, Walker could see the distant planet, surrounded by the menacing shapes of the Dominion fleet. "QDD charged to maximum safe capacity," Athena reported. Reed leaned forward in his chair. "Calculate jump to bring us directly into the center of their formation. Target their flagship with quantum torpedoes, full spread. Shields at maximum." "Coordinates locked," Athena confirmed. "Jump ready on your command." Reed glanced at Walker, a glint of anticipation in his eyes. "Let's remind the Dominion why they feared the Phantom." He pressed the command key. "Execute jump." Once again, Walker felt that strange sensation of being pulled in all directions. The view screen flashed, and suddenly they were in the middle of the Dominion fleet, appearing out of nowhere like a ghost materializing in their midst. "Fire torpedoes," Reed ordered calmly. Brilliant blue streaks shot from the Phantom, striking the Dominion flagship before its shields could fully respond. The massive vessel shuddered as portions of its hull seemed to blur and distort, as if reality itself was rejecting their existence. Chaos erupted across the Dominion fleet as their formations scattered in confusion, ships turning to face this unexpected threat that had appeared in their midst. "Enemy vessels powering weapons," Athena reported, "detecting multiple targeting systems locking onto us." Reed smiled grimly. "And now they see why we're called the Phantom. Prepare for combat jumps." As the first Dominion energy beams lanced toward them, the Phantom vanished, only to reappear behind another Dominion cruiser, unleashing another barrage of quantum torpedoes before disappearing again. On the Dominion flagship's bridge, General Drack stared in disbelief at the sensor readings. "Impossible," he whispered. Then, louder, "What is that ship?" Commander Vex's face had paled. "Sir, it matches the description of the Phantom." "The human myth." Drack scoffed, but there was uncertainty in his voice. "The myth," Vex confirmed, "that just destroyed 3 of our ships." General Drack gripped the arms of his command chair as his flagship shook violently. Alarms blared across the bridge, and emergency lights bathed everything in an eerie red glow. "Damage report," he shouted. Commander Vex studied the flickering displays with growing horror. "Hull breaches on decks 3 through 7. Quantum distortion spreading through the forward sections. We've lost engines and main weapons." "And the core destabilizer?" Drac demanded. "Offline, sir. The power conduits were severed in the attack." On the main screen, Drac watched as the Phantom appeared and disappeared around his fleet like a vengeful ghost, striking with devastating precision before vanishing again. 3 more Dominion ships had been crippled in the past 5 minutes alone. "Sir," Vex said quietly, "we should consider retreat." Drac turned to his second-in-command with fury in his eyes. "Retreat? Before a single ship?" "Not just any ship," Vex replied. "That's the Phantom, sir." The stories were true. Before Drac could respond, the tactical officer called out, "Sir, the human ship has stopped jumping. It's holding position between our fleet and the planet." The main screen showed the Phantom, its midnight black hull seeming to absorb the light from the nearby sun. It hung motionless in space, weapons ready but not firing. "They're hailing us," the communications officer reported with surprise. Drac straightened his uniform. "Put it through." The screen changed to show a human male with silver hair and a neatly trimmed beard. His eyes were hard, his expression unyielding. "This is Captain Thomas Reed of the ASV-01 Nemesis, also known as the Phantom. You are ordered to withdraw your forces from Epsilon 9 immediately." Drac forced a sneer. "One ship cannot stand against a fleet, Captain, no matter how advanced." Reed's expression didn't change. "Your fleet is already crippled, General. 6 of your ships are disabled, and your flagship can barely maintain life support. Meanwhile, my quantum torpedoes are ready for another volley." He leaned forward slightly. "But perhaps you need more convincing." Athena, tactical display. The transmission split to show a tactical map of the system. Dozens of new signals were appearing at the system's edge. "Allied reinforcements will arrive within the hour," Reed continued. "But I don't need to wait for them to finish what I started." Drac's mind raced through his options. His mission was a failure. The core destabilizer was destroyed before they could test it. Half his fleet was crippled. And if Allied reinforcements were truly on the way— "You've made your point, Captain," Drac said coldly. "We will withdraw." Reed nodded once. "Wise decision. Be aware that the Phantom will escort you to the edge of the system. Any deviation will be met with immediate response." The transmission cut off. Drac slammed his fist against his chair. "Sound the retreat," he ordered. "Get our damaged ships under tow. We're leaving." As his officers rushed to comply, Drac stared at the black ship on the screen. After decades of dismissing it as human propaganda, the Phantom had revealed itself and changed everything. On the Phantom's bridge, Walker watched as the Dominion fleet slowly limped away from Epsilon 9. "They're actually retreating," he said with disbelief. Reed nodded. "The Dominion respects power above all else. We demonstrated ours. What about those reinforcements you mentioned?" A small smile crossed Reed's face. "A bluff. Athena generated false signals that mimicked Allied ships dropping out of FTL. Given enough time, the Dominion would have realized the deception, but we didn't need that much time." Walker shook his head in admiration. "Clever." "Not my first battle with the Dominion," Reed replied. He turned to the rest of the bridge crew. "Good work, everyone. Especially considering the crash course in operating this ship." Lieutenant Reeves looked up from the weapons console. "Sir, sensors confirm the Dominion fleet has left the system." "Excellent," Reed said. "Athena, open a channel to the colony." The main screen changed to show a woman in civilian clothes, her face still marked with shock and relief. "This is Governor Ellis of Epsilon 9. I don't know who you are, but you arrived just in time. The Dominion was about to deploy some kind of super weapon against us. The core destabilizer," Reed confirmed. "It's been neutralized." "Who are you?" the governor asked. I've never seen a ship like yours in the Allied fleet. Reed glanced at Walker before answering. Let's just say we're a special asset that was recommissioned for this emergency. After assuring the governor that the immediate danger had passed, Reed ended the transmission. He sat back in the captain's chair, suddenly looking tired. What now? Walker asked quietly. Reed gazed at the view screen, where Epsilon 9 hung like a blue jewel against the blackness of space. That, he said, is the question that's kept the Phantom hidden for over 20 years. 2 weeks later, Walker stood in Admiral Grant's office back at Allied headquarters. The Admiral was reading reports on his tablet, his expression thoughtful. The news of the Phantom's reappearance has spread across the galaxy, Grant said finally. Every major power is reassessing their military strategy. The Dominion has withdrawn from 3 other contested systems without firing a shot. The legend became reality, Walker observed. Indeed. Grant set down the tablet. And now we face the same decision that was made 20 years ago. What to do with the most powerful warship ever built. Walker hesitated, then spoke. Sir, if I may, I think the original decision was wrong. Grant raised an eyebrow. Oh, the Phantom was hidden away because our leaders feared it would destabilize the peace. But look what happened. We ended up at war again anyway. Only this time, we almost lost a colony because our most powerful asset was gathering dust. The Admiral studied him. You're suggesting we keep the Phantom in active service. I'm suggesting that the right weapon, used wisely, can prevent conflicts rather than start them. Walker straightened. The Dominion retreated from multiple systems just hearing that the Phantom was back. Imagine what might happen if we used it strategically, not as a first-strike weapon, but as a visible deterrent. Grant was silent for a long moment. Captain Reed made a similar argument. He finally said, he's requested permission to keep the Phantom operational, with a proper crew this time. And your decision? The Admiral smiled slightly. The Defense Council voted unanimously this morning. The Phantom is officially being recommissioned into the fleet. He paused. Reed asked for you specifically to serve as his first officer. Walker felt a surge of pride. I'd be honored, sir. Good. Report to Gamma Station tomorrow for your new assignment. Grant stood, extending his hand. The galaxy is changing, Commander. Old myths are becoming new realities. I think we're going to need the Phantom before this is all over. 1 month later, the Phantom hung in orbit around the contested world of New Terra. Below, representatives from the Allied systems and the Dominion Empire sat at peace talks that had been deadlocked for weeks. On the bridge, now fully staffed with a trained crew, Captain Reed and Commander Walker watched the proceedings via secure feed. They've been arguing about the same border dispute for 3 days, Walker noted. Reed nodded. Old habits die hard. But look at that Dominion general, the one who keeps glancing up at the ceiling. Walker studied the man. He seems nervous. He's thinking about what's in orbit right above him. Reed said with satisfaction. A ship that, until recently, he thought was just a myth. The Dominion delegation suddenly shifted their position, offering a compromise they had rejected just hours earlier. The Allied representatives quickly accepted. Peace agreement signed, Athena announced. Hostilities officially ended in this sector. Reed smiled, and not a single shot fired. Walker looked out at the stars beyond the view screen. Somewhere out there, other conflicts were brewing, other threats were emerging. But now, the Phantom would be ready to meet them. From myth to legend to reality, he said quietly. And now, perhaps, to something even more valuable. What's that? Reed asked. Walker smiled. A promise that some stories are true, and that the good guys sometimes have the biggest stick. The Phantom's engines glowed softly as the ship prepared to depart, its black hull once again melting into the darkness of space, no longer a myth, but a guardian of the peace it had once fought to create.